What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Asia. I am the founder of Passion or Profit, where I teach you how to take your passion and turn it into a profitable business. Today, I am so excited. We have a guest with us. Can you say hello?
Hello, everybody. My name is Trevon Gross Jr., and I am the founder of Craft Your Dream Inc., where it's our mission to coach dreamers to achieve their biggest goals. And I absolutely love it, simply because each and every person has a dream in their heart. So, again, it's an honor to be here with you, Asia, and thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited. Today, we are talking about 10 execution tips for entrepreneurs. I know execution and entrepreneurship are something that goes hand in hand. We are both very passionate about it. So we're excited to get into those tips with you guys and just let you know all of the great things and tips that will help you run your business. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, to start off, entrepreneurship, obviously, execution is key. I find that execution is the difference between having a successful business and having a time consuming hobby. And so, the first tip that I have for everyone is that you need to understand your RGAs. Now,
mhm.
RGAs is a term that I came up with from myself from a place of being broke, honestly. And all RGA stands for is a revenue generating activity. Simply put, meaning that you need to make sure that in your execution that you are focusing on the things that are actually making you money.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, and I've experienced this in my own story in creating Craft Your Dream and then also my production company, that you may have a purpose, for your business. You have people that you want to serve or a problem you want to solve and everything like that. And it's absolutely wonderful. But you're not making any real impact. You're not actually going to grow your business if you're not making any money. And so, instead of quote unquote focusing on, well, the colors of my social media posts, or oh, how my website looks and everything like that, you need to focus on getting leads. You need to focus
Mhm.
on actually getting business and doing whatever the steps are that actually add money to your bank account. And it's different for every business. So every revenue generating activity is different for everyone. For a coach, it looks different from someone who might sell a physical product, whatever it may be. But I find, just from an execution standpoint, I really only want to understand and really focus on the things that make me money.
Exactly. Have you heard of the 80/20 rule?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna kind of go off the dome with this, but it's basically that you know 80% of the work that we do doesn't really account for the 100%. It's really more of the 20% of
The
what we do
20%.
is really what makes the difference in our businesses. So, like, if there
Exactly.
are 10 activities, really two of those activities are the things that are actually driving the business, improving the business, making us money, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
I'm glad you brought that up, because literally, to put it another way, it is those, whatever those that 20% is, whatever those two activities are, whatever it is, we have to identify them and we have to lock those in so that way we can, give ourselves capital, give ourselves margin to hire out, to scale, and all that different type of stuff. Because
For
the truth
sure.
is, you're not doing anything with your business if you're broke. It's just what it is.
Exactly, exactly. Can you give us an example of what an RGA is in your business?
So for me, an RJ in my business is sending DMs. In my production company, it really starts with sending emails, specifically.
Mhm,
So it's a fine line between posting content, but really it's like I'm actually talking to people about what I do. And
mhm.
again, it's not so much I get paid every time I send the DM or send an email. It's more so like, hey, this is at least the start of the process to someone putting money in my bank account. And so
Exactly.
that is what it looks like for me. Where I used to, when I first got started out, I'm thinking about, like I said, oh man, like I could start posting on Tuesdays and then this on Wednesday and this on Friday. And that's all necessary and that's wonderful. But at least to start out, like at least to really give yourself breathing room, peace of mind. Uh, you don't feel like that anxiety when like the 15th of the month hits or it's towards the end of the month, you got bills to
Mhm.
pay. Like I find for me, it's like, okay, I need to first lock in sending out cold messages and, basically following through with all of that.
Exactly. I completely agree. I know sometimes I get so consumed with the activities that don't actually make a difference. I really like to use also like the quadrant of important, urgent, not urgent, things like that, because I'll
That's
sit
really
there
good.
and do activities all day that don't actually generate income. things that I call like maintenance activities, like certain emails or things that you just have to do. And sometimes let that keep me from doing the things that'll actually make me money. So for in my business, a lot of that is maybe follow-up phone calls. If people are making accounts, but they're not signing up for classes, follow-up phone calls are something that's really important to us because it does directly lead to people signing up and more income. So
That's good.
I
That's smart.
completely
I like
agree.
that. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, well, let
All
me ask you a
right.
question real quick, Asia.
Okay.
With that, how do you transition? Like, is there a point where it's like, okay, I can now shift my focus to the other stuff? Because like, I don't want someone to hear us
Mhm.
and think like, because again, I don't want someone to hear us and think like, oh, like my social media, my branding, and like, oh, that just doesn't matter. Like, it
Mhm.
matters, but to a point. How do you judge like when someone can start maybe shifting their focus to the other stuff, like the second quadrant of stuff that might not be the urgent revenue stuff? Like, where do you find that balance?
Well, I think making sure that you're on systems for the things that are more so like daily activities to allow, at least as a business owner for me, to allow me to focus on those important but maybe not urgent tasks. So, for
That's good.
instance, with the RGA that I was just saying, with the follow up phone calls, that's something that I have a system on with my manager. Now, obviously, all entrepreneurs may not be in the space to delegate all of those activities, but I know with me, that's something that I can pass over to make sure that I'm also focusing on other activities and focusing on growth and things like that.
That's really good.
And then it kind of helps to have some of those things already in place, and such as the colors or the Instagram or like your schedule for Instagram and social media and things like that, so that you can focus on the things that are really important in your business.
That's wise.
So,
That's smart.
and then work wise, that looks like for me, I'm handling all of those tasks first and then kind of going into those important tasks just so the other ones are out of the way. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So when the RGAs are complete, then it's like, okay, I can shift my focuses to other things. Makes sense. Makes sense.
exactly, exactly. Because before I was doing so many activities that were just daily activities and never focusing on the RGAs. And it's crazy because you don't see that impact immediately, but you start to notice, okay, we're having a little bit less income, a little less phone calls. So
Yes.
then you're like, I need to focus on that a little bit more. So
Right. Right. Yeah. Those are definitely the signs, and it's good that you're aware, so you can be like, okay, changes need to be made.
exactly, exactly. All right. So number two,
hmm
my tip is to time block with purpose. Time blocking is something that I'm very passionate about. I use it almost every single day because of what we just said. If I don't time block, then time can get away from me. I can start focusing on things that don't actually matter. For me, I time block down to when I'm working out, when I'm cooking, just so I don't feel like I'm only working or I'm not spending enough time working. I know that I'm adequately allotting enough time to do all of my activities. And even in the studio or in my business, I'll have time blocking. Like these are the times where I'm choreographing. These are the times when I'm doing admin. This is the time where I'm meeting with my staff. And it kind of allows you to just look at a general picture of what you're doing and the activities that you're spending your time doing. And you can make sure that those are things that align with what you need to be doing as a business owner, as opposed to someone working like in their business. It allows you to like work on your business a little bit more. So that definitely helps
Absolutely.
me. Have you ever used time blocking?
I do. No, I'm like you. I'm a fan of time blocking. I think it is
Mhm.
absolutely necessary, particularly for entrepreneurs that are what I consider in like that phase one, where you might have an assistant at best, where you're not might not
Mhm.
have a team, but at least where it's kind of like you're the social media manager, you're the salesperson, you're the marketer, right? You're just kind of
Exactly.
wearing all hats. I think time blocking is super important. Where again you kind of have a peace of mind just about, okay, here's what I'm doing within this hour, this 2 hour block, whatever it is. So like you, I am a fan of it. I operate by it. I think everyone should, even not even just in a professional, business sense, but even just with life where you just kind of know this is what I do. And I
Exactly.
think practically just with time blocking, I think it's really utilizing your calendar. I
Mhm.
think a lot of us, at least with iPhones, like we don't utilize our calendar enough. Just practically, and
Exactly.
like, we're really just like blocking out like, okay, this is what's happening, where I think a lot of people, they look at their calendar now and it's just blank, right? And to them they're like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, free day, like, whatever, as opposed to no, like here's what the day should be. So like even putting down times when you're eating, putting down, when you want to
Yep.
work out, putting down, quality time with a significant other, like really just like having it there so that way you just, again, know what you're getting into on the day. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's for me, the time blocking, the best benefit, obviously it's the execution and the productivity side of it. But for me, it's really the
Mhm.
peace of mind, right? It's really the peace of mind. Now, I'm interested to know for you, how do you stay focused during those time blocking hours? Because, like, I can imagine, I can see a world where, let's say, you're in, I don't know, marketing mode where you're creating content, but
Mhm.
then someone calls, right? Or something else happens in the business. How do you, or what do you do, if anything, intentional to kind of like stay locked in? Like, okay, this is what I'm doing during this time.
Yeah, so definitely it's funny because I've always heard allocated time to check your emails and to do follow-ups, and I was always the person that would constantly check my emails, and I used to say to people, "I check my emails more than I check text messages," but I was realizing that was one of the things that was distracting me. Or you get on social media to intentionally do a post, and then you're on there for 30 minutes. So I actually have, things on my phone that kinda keep me on track when I am in that mode, and one of them is just the Focus app. You can make a focus for
Oh,
working, and you can make it so only certain people can get through with their text messages or calls. So that is one way that I'll stay on track when I'm doing that admin time. I also have 2 sets of, what is it called? The with the sand, the
the
time
hourglass ones.
hourglasses.
Yep,
So I
yep.
have 2, and one of them is intentionally 30 minutes and the other one is 5 minutes. So I'll use those to work, 30 minutes on, 5-minute break, 30 minutes on,
That's really
5-minute
good.
break. Just
That's really
because you can
good.
see when you're getting a break, and then you know that you can check something or you can go get a bite to eat or something like that when you have that 5 minutes. So I'll try to stick with those when I have, like, a long block that I'm working into.
Yeah. I think what's really cool about that is, like, that's kind of fun. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I know obviously as business entrepreneurs, we want to be like so blue collar and serious. Like, I think that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
you just have like 2 hourglasses, like, that are just kind of on your desk that you just get to see. Where
Yeah.
obviously, yes, it's effective, which is obviously what we want. But I think that's just something cool, right? I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. And honestly, you're doing better than me. You're inspiring me because I got to get something like that. Because
Oh, I
that
love
sounds
it for
useful.
sure. And I mean, you can do that with your phone timer too, but again, less time on your phone is kind of the goal, at least when I'm
Yeah.
doing admin. And something else I feel like with time blocking, people think of it as restrictive, almost like budgeting when people are like, I don't want to be restricted. But in my opinion, it allows for more freedom because you know that you have this time that you've allotted for your business or for working on things. You can also put things in there like your downtime or like your time with your significant other. And it just makes it easier for me to focus when I need to focus because I do know that I have that downtime coming up, or I know
Yeah.
that I have time to go to the gym coming up. And you know, because you've already created this, that it's efficient and effective. So,
That's really good. Yeah, just takes the pressure off. I agree. I totally
yeah.
agree. Um,
Mhm.
let's see. Anything else you want to add with time blocking? That's a really good one.
No,
All right.
yeah.
So I would say, this is, I guess, number three is, there's a third just execution point for everybody here listening. You need to
Mhm.
understand industry trends. Okay, you need to understand industry trends. So one of the things that I find, at least that I experienced, is that you can be doing the right thing at the wrong time. And if you're doing the right thing at the wrong time, you're wrong. And so part of being productive, part of running a successful business is you need to actually understand, like, number one, what business you're in, understand, like, okay, what are you actually selling? But then actually understanding, like, just the patterns, understanding the,
Mhm.
seasons where it's hot, understanding the seasons where it's cold, understanding when people are buying, understanding, even you can go as granular as understanding when your audience is on social media, understanding when
Mhm.
people open up their emails, like, just really understanding trends. And I find that, if I'm, doing, and again, we're just using social media because I think that's the easiest example. But if I'm putting together social media content, but I'm posting at 9 p.m., like, and my audience is usually up in the mornings because for me, I'm a leadership
Mhm.
coach. So the people I talk to, they're up early in the morning getting coffee, right? Like, that's what they're
Yep.
doing. If I'm posting at 9 p.m. or noon or something like that, I'm doing the right thing, but it's at the wrong time. So thus it
Mhm.
loses its effectiveness. So I have to understand the trends. I have to understand what's going on. I have to understand just even the time of year for when I'm posting certain type of content. I need to understand if I have a certain offer, with the timing behind this offer. right? Like, for example, for me in my world, just in leadership, it makes no sense for me to post some sort of, here's how to bounce back from adversity program or something like that in January. That makes no sense,
Yeah.
because people are starting off the year, they're motivated, they set their goals, they've
You
gone
need
to
to
a comp,
capitalize on
whatever.
that.
Yeah, so I've done the right thing, and it could be the best piece of content ever concerning bouncing back from adversity and empowering
Mhm.
through challenges and everything like that. It could be the very best, but no one's going to pay attention to it because that's not where they are right now. So
Exactly.
from a, again, execution standpoint, it is very important that each and every one of us as entrepreneurs, that we understand just the industry trends. We're understanding our audience. We're understanding, hey, there's a reason why, the industry is slow or quiet right now. And not
Mhm.
necessarily saying like you're accepting of it, but just kind of like, hey, I understand why, and that just will kind of open the door to potentially other opportunities. So that's what I would say. Just like really understanding trends.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially in the dance industry. I used to look at this as a yearly basis, like something to look at as on a yearly basis, especially with dance kind of being on a cycle with the school year. We know that summers are going to be a little bit slow. We know that in Christmas, a lot of people are going to drop because they start, getting worried about money and things like that. But something that I was talking with someone about recently was no, there's also a trend every 4 years because people are talking about low enrollment. And I'm like, yeah, it's always low enrollment after the Olympics because everyone wants to do gymnastics. They don't want to
Wow.
do dance. They want to be Simone Biles. And that's just something to already look out for. And that's going to be happening. Okay, your numbers might be a little bit low. Don't panic. It's going to come back. And those are things that you kind of learn over time, but you do have to be conscious of remembering that and putting that into play and being almost prepared for that type of thing. So,
Wow, I honestly didn't even think about that, but it makes
yeah.
total sense when you explain it like that. That
Hmm.
makes total sense.
Or even something recently, like with my competition girls, I'm noticing over the past couple of years that people start to lose traction around November and December because we're rehearsing since July, the same dances. Their competition is not until the end of January. So I
Wow.
noticed that people start to lose their momentum, lose their motivation around this time. And I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do to get them hyped up? Do we need to schedule performances? Do we need to schedule more team bonding? But that's
Yeah.
something that you're only going to realize if you're kind of tracking those trends and reacting to them. So,
Yeah. And I love that how you said it, at least in your space, but like it allowed you to then figure out, how do we mitigate? How can we kind of
mhm,
adjust and just maximize, even in a downtime, like you said, like when, it's November, December and your girls have kind of lost their motivation. To your point, it's okay,
mhm.
maybe we can schedule this, maybe we could do this to kind of keep things going and moving forward. And I think that same type of thinking, I should say, applies to any business, where it's like, okay, if this is a down season or whatever, if this is a spike, here's how we can maximize, here's how we can sustain, whatever it is. But I think, yeah, understanding trends, to your point, it helps you. One, I'm probably going to say this all the time during this episode, but just it gives you peace of mind. Like just the peace
Mhm.
of mind that, I'm certain for you, where again, you're very like membership based, right? Clients, kids, the whole nine,
Mhm.
where if you see girls leaving or not signing up, because you understand the trend, you're not like, oh my God. You're not dealing with
Yeah,
any of like the what's the word, imposter syndrome or anything like that, because you're just like, no, like this
or a
is the
panic.
trend, like
Yeah.
it's, yeah, like there's no reason to panic, like, hey, been here, done that, we get it, like it's an understandable thing. Right.
Mhm.
So yeah,
But
I
not only
think
that,
that's,
you can start preparing for it too. So it's like, that
yes,
enrollment rate might be low. So what do we need to do? Let's save up before that happens.
that's really good. Yes, man,
Yeah.
that could be a whole point in itself right there.
I know, right? I was thinking just about the peace of mind. That could be a whole episode in itself too.
Literally.
Entrepreneurship and the peace of mind.
Yeah, but that's
Oh,
understanding trends. What else you got?
that's it for understanding trends. I know it's something that, like I said, I was not conscious about when I first opened, and I would do even throughout the year, and preparing for the summer, things like that. But it's definitely something to have in your mind as an
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What, all right, what execution tip you got next? What you got?
The next one I have is to automate your social media. And I know me, especially the industry that I'm in, video is key, social media is
Hmm.
key. And we do
Hmm.
have, like I said, the membership based model, but we have a lot of adult classes where we're constantly having to market to those people. And social media can get very overwhelming. So automating social media on my end has been a huge relief. I use apps that you schedule your videos, and now you can actually schedule your content directly in Instagram and on other
Hmm.
platforms as well. But
Yep.
scheduling it so I don't have to worry about it has been my biggest thing. It's been such a
Yes.
relief. Something that you don't have to worry about because you do have to constantly be promoting and posting things, and it can take over your life. Like I don't want to be a social media manager. I want to be a dance studio owner. So
Yeah.
but automating it has allowed me to remove myself a little bit more and just focus on what I need to do as opposed to being on social media all day, worrying about what I'm doing and posting all day. So I'll batch record things and I will schedule everything out.
You said so many things I want to key in on. Number one, I'm gonna
Mhm.
say what you batch recording. Like if you I mean, it applies to any industry, but if you can batch record, which basically just means record a whole bunch of stuff at one time and then basically use that to distribute over the course of a longer period of time. If you can do that, you should do it. Like batch
Yes.
recording, that's how I do my podcast. That's how I think, honestly, not even I think, I know all of the top people on social media, your favorite influencers, whoever, they batch record simply because it is
Mhm.
the most time effective thing to do. It's the best method, right? But
Agree.
also, with automating the social media, one of the things that I tell my production company clients all the time is the fact that, hey, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by social media because the reality is social media is like a full-time job now, where
It
it
is.
used to be like a, casual, oh, let's just post a family photo and, people keep up, all my followers will see it. Like, no. Now social media is a full-time, it's almost like being a data analyst now. Like that's kind of
Mhm.
like what social media has become. And you can have your opinion about it, whether it's right or wrong. It just is. So
Yeah.
one is just understanding, okay, this is just where social media is at. But even with the automating social media posts, like you said, it really does allow you to be, in your case, a dance studio operator, an owner, right? It
Mhm.
allows you to actually be in your business, not just the person that is just posting a bunch of content, because that's not what
Exactly.
you're supposed to be doing, right? Like you're an owner, you're a dance studio owner for a reason, right? You're not a
Mhm.
content influencer or anything like that. And I
Exactly.
think a practical tool, right? Because there definitely are a lot of apps. Like one of the things that I do with my podcast episodes, and because I post a lot of content, but I tell people all the time I am not on social media as much as it seems, because I'm posting
Exactly.
almost every day. Like I'm really not, but it's because of this point of just automating it and scheduling it. So I use
Mhm.
the business suite in Facebook. So for those of you
Mhm.
that don't know this, and this is something I learned like a couple years ago, but if you go to business.facebook.com and you basically are able to go to your Facebook page and you're able to link it to your Instagram page, and that is
Mhm.
also another free way that you can schedule your content. And there's a planner, you can see the analytics and everything like that, but you can
Yeah.
schedule it and forget it. And basically putting yourself in some sort of system where it's like, okay, I'm going to batch record on Saturdays. I'm going to batch record the
Mhm.
first week or whatever it is, whatever your cadence and strategy is. But go use that platform to then, okay, say, here's what I'm posting. It's done. Now you're able to spend the rest of your day, the rest of your week, month, whatever it is, actually doing
Doing your
whatever it is
business.
that you're right, doing your business. So yeah, that automating social media piece is like beyond, because it's necessary, right? Like honestly,
It
going back a
is.
little bit to what we talked about, like to a degree, social media is an RGA to a degree, depending on
Mhm.
just kind of your traction and how you're functioning. But you do kind of have to market what you're doing currently, and it's all
Yep.
moving super fast. So yeah.
Yeah, another reason I like that business suite is because you can control your comments all in one area too. So for me, I have
Yes.
obviously multiple pages, Facebook, Instagram, all of your comments are there and you can reply directly to them in that
Yeah.
on business suite. So that's another reason I really like it too. I use it
Yeah.
for that
And
a
and
ton.
there is I haven't explored this much, but there is also ways in which you can set up like automated responses to like
Mhm.
DMs and
I
comments
have
and
it set
everything
up
like
for
that?
DMs, but not for
Do you?
comments.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, you're gonna have to show me that because I've
Yeah.
seen it. I just haven't had taken the time to actually like explore it, and that's like one of those things where again, it's working in the business and not on the business. Because if you work when you're working
Mhm.
on your business, you can go in and actually like set these
Set that
things up,
up.
you know. So it's like okay, when someone DMs or even when I think it's like, isn't there a setting where like when someone even follows you, it can automatically like send them a DM or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I know for me, and there's also trigger words too and keywords. So if someone
oh
DMs me
wow,
asking and it says schedule, which so many people do, it sends an automatic message, at least on Facebook, that says, "Hi, so glad you're interested in our schedule. I'm attaching the link here. Let me know if you have any questions." Because
well, that's
people
good.
don't want to go to websites or look for the information.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, well, here it is. I'm not going to answer the same question 20 times. So just setting that up so that it's
I know
already
that's right.
sent has been a
Yeah.
lifesaver.
Listen, Asia, you give me homework. I thought this was a pod. Now you just giving me homework to do, and that's okay. I'm thankful because I'm doing that. Like I'm absolutely
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a time
Absolutely.
saver, like we said, to work on the business and not in the business, so gotta
Yes.
make things easier for you.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for
Yeah,
that. Thank you for that tip.
of course.
Let's see. Anything else you want to add on that? We hit that out of the park,
I
I think.
think that's it.
All
You
right.
can continue.
Let's see. Let's see. A next one for me, I think another tip, execution tip for all entrepreneurs is personal development and business coaching. Okay, personal development
My
and business
favorite.
coaching. I love this. This one is so near and dear to my heart because when I was struggling with business and just stressing out and broke as a
Mhm.
joke, I realized that the better I got as a human being, the better my business would do. Like just simple and plain. Practically, what does that
100%.
look like, right? The more I became confident in me, the easier it was for me to market what I do in my business. The
Mhm.
better I trained myself to communicate, the more opportunities I would get, at least in my space, to speak on stages and perform on podcasts and things like that.
Mhm.
So there's a real tangible connection between your personal development just as a human and the performance of your business. And
Agreed.
so, you know, that's why every entrepreneur needs to invest in themselves. And a lot of times that is by way of a coach. So you would hire
Mhm.
someone like me, that you would hire someone like yourself, Asia, right? Where, you
Mhm.
know, someone who has, even if they're only like 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, or they're 20 steps ahead of you, whatever, but you're basically shortening the learning curve. So that way, whatever obstacles you run into, like you kind of have the cheat code to the test, so to speak, right? You get to kind of get information on like those trends, or you get information on, you know, here's what you do when you're in a position to start hiring, or you know need to cut expenses, where to start. Like there's a lot of information that you can get by investing in yourself, and or I should say investing in yourself by way of a business coach.
Agreed. I completely agree. And I think business coaches are something that I would have no matter what step I'm on. I know my business coach has her own business coach, and it's been so beneficial. A lot of the times, people want to dive into videos like this and podcast and YouTube videos, which is great to a certain extent. But having that business coach is going to give you that specialized information and the things that you need specifically that can help grow your business. And like you said, even if they're just a couple of steps ahead of you, it can save you months or maybe even years of headache because they've already gone through those things and they can coach you on how to get through them as opposed to you having to learn everything the hard way. I'm 100% for business
Yeah.
coaches and
And,
personal development.
and two, right? Like, because obviously there's the investment, right? There's the actual money side of it.
Hmm.
And this is where I think a lot of our financial mindset, money mindset does come into play, because it's like, why would I pay a business coach $1,500, $2,500, $5,000, whatever the number is, right? To
Hmm.
help me with my business. Like I'd rather just figure it out myself. Well, this is just how it makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
I would much rather pay a business coach $2,500, even $10,000 to help
Hmm.
them fix my business, solve a problem in my business, as opposed to me try to take it on by myself and then I spend 20, 30, $40,000, right? So it's like all that
I
money
agree.
is down the drain just because I didn't just invest in the person that really has the answers, the experience. So that way, like, instead of me losing 20,000, I've made an extra 40, 50 because I made the investment of 5,000 with the business coach who's done this a millions of times. Like, and again,
Exactly.
it's just simple math. Now, obviously, you need to vet and, make sure that, you choose the right coach and all that different type of stuff. But,
Yeah,
it just makes sense. It's like, why would you not?
it
And
does.
take the pride and ego out of it. Like, and I love how you said the business coach will specialize, right? Where they literally, as opposed to, these podcasts where we're sharing very general tips and we are being practical, right? And absolutely
Mhm.
someone can take value away from this. But there really is something powerful about being able to hop on a Zoom call, go get coffee, and really be able to talk to the expert and say, hey, here's what's going on in my business. Here's the issue that
Exactly.
I'm facing. So, you don't have to, it demystifies everything. So as opposed to like listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video and being like, okay, like I think that applies. I think that might work for me. Like, okay, I can see
Yeah,
how that works for me. It's like they're going to tell you, okay, here's what you need to do. A, B, C, D, like, and it's done. Here's what will happen as a result. Like, it just
exactly.
makes sense.
And the accountability too. I know that's a big thing with me because if I don't do something, I know she's going to be like, "Okay, so what happened here? We discussed your action steps. We know what your next steps are that you need to do. Why didn't you do them?" So
Right.
I'm like,
Those,
"Okay, let me get it together."
yes, those are humbling,
So
humbling conversations.
exactly. And I know with my business coach, I'm actually a part of a community too. And the accountability there is huge because every week they're asking, okay, well, what is your win this week? I'm like, I got to come back with a win because I'm not going to come back and say nothing. So
Right,
that
right. You don't want to be that
accountability,
person. Don't be that
exactly,
person. Everybody else is, oh well, I made 50,000 this week. Oh, I got 10 new clients, and here you
like I
are.
slept in.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Like, you don't want to be that person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
For
no, that's
sure, for
true.
sure. And I think a lot of the time with business coaching, we think that we know so much. But even when I'm speaking with people and I don't realize, okay, other people don't know this information. I'm coaching them and I'm like, they're acting like I'm telling them things that are just, it's a foreign language. But that's how I
Yeah,
feel when my coach is talking to me because there's so much that you don't know as a business owner. No matter what step you're in, there's always someone who's ahead that can help you and things that
yeah,
you may not even think about, problems and issues that may come up that you're not even looking out for. They can prepare you for. So I definitely
yeah,
agree. A business
yeah,
coach is huge.
yeah.
And the
And to
personal
kind of,
development part.
go ahead, go into that.
I was just saying personal development part, there's a ton of books, there's things that you can do to constantly just making sure that you're increasing your knowledge in whatever industry you're in. And I think people sometimes get lazy or they get lax with that and don't think it's as important, but it's constantly important, even if you're just reminding yourself or you're rereading a book that helped you to constantly just be pouring into yourself so you can pour into other people.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned just from thinking is the fact that all of us started a business for a reason, right? And the fact is, the business that we dream of already exists. Like, somebody in the world is already doing it. Like,
Yeah.
if I were to use you, right? Somebody already has 10 dance studios and is revenuing a crazy amount of money. Like, somebody's
Hmm.
already doing it. So the question is not, oh, is the business of my dreams possible? The only question is, are you going to be the person that's going to do the steps to get there?
Exactly.
And that's why, to your point, personal development is so important, because it's just, again, it's a question of becoming. Will you become the person that will do those
Hmm.
things? Simple and plain. And
Exactly.
having that accountability of a business coach, one of the things that I find, it's the accountability of a business coach. But even with, clients that I talk with about their business, but even just the coaches that I have, there's also a level of, we'll call it borrowed belief,
Hmm.
right? It's because, again, they've gone around corners we haven't seen. They've gone to places we haven't seen before. And there are definitely moments in our business where it seems grim, where it seems confusing, uncertain, and everything like that. And that's just natural. So
Hmm.
by having that business coach, they basically will believe in us sometimes more than we believe in ourselves.
Yep.
And it's like, in those moments, we kind of got to borrow some of their belief in us to then go do. And I think that's a really powerful thing, to where it's like, you
Yeah.
know what, like, I may not believe at a level 10, but you know what? I believe at a level 5, but my business coach believes in me at a 10. And like they're certain, like I don't even know how they're so certain. So I'm gonna just kind of trust
Mhm.
their guidance with it. I'm gonna just do it. Right. And I think that's all a part of it. And it becomes like this snowball effect, I find, where it's
Mhm.
like once you kind of get a taste of like, wow, okay, like I read a book and I applied it, and I talked to my business coach and I applied it and it worked. It's like more and more and more. You just want more and more and more. And that's why I said earlier, where it's like the better you get as a human being, the better your business will perform. Like it's just
Agreed.
it just happens. It's just what it is.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's move on to number
Hmm.
6, which is to delegate. Learn to delegate. And that's something that I still have that written on my desk. Delegate, because I didn't do it for the longest, and I would have trouble giving people simple tasks, and I would try to do so many things myself, and I had to realize, like I said before, I'm spending so much time doing these activities that are $15, $20 an hour activities when I could be spending it doing things that actually grow the business. So things like day-to-day operations, maintenance, even marketing things, once they're set in place and there's a system, delegate those so you can focus properly on growing your business or working on the business, as opposed to just spending your time doing those activities that you say, oh, it doesn't take me that much time to do it, but it starts to add up.
It
So
does.
delegating
Yeah.
on those activities so you can focus on the high impact tasks, whatever that may be in your business, is something that the sooner you learn it, the better.
Yeah, it really is, because it honestly, delegating really does save you more time. I
Hmm.
think a lot of us, we struggle with delegating, or at least I'm speaking for me. We struggle with delegating because we feel like we're the only one that can do the thing,
Hmm.
right? And I think that that's where, as business owners, we have to elevate our thinking. And this is something that I've been very intentional with, like this year, where as opposed to me really just being kind of in the thick of things doing it, I want to do it in a way where when I do bring somebody on, I already have the
Hmm.
structure, I already have the materials, I already have the
Completely
training
agree.
stuff in place. So that way, when someone, like for me, like right now, personally, like I'm a really good video editor, but like I'm ready to pass that off. Like I'm ready to pass it off to
Exactly.
somebody, right? So
Yep.
one of the things that I'm actually going to be doing to really finish out this year is I'm going to literally create a Zoom call with myself. I'm going to record it, and I'm going to record me editing. So when
Yep.
someone, when I do hire someone, I can say, "Hey, watch this video. That's how I do it. If you have any questions, email me." Like, do the
Yeah.
job. You know what I mean? So it's
Loom
like
is really great for that too. You can create
Loom.
a Loom account and you
Uh-huh.
can record yourself doing the things on your computer or on your phone, and it will organize all of them so that you can use that almost like your operations manual,
Oh,
how
that's
to
good.
edit the videos and have everything in there. Because, yeah, like you said, that's so important, just making sure that you're properly um, recording all of those tasks, and that's something that I had an issue with too, with having the studio. There's so many tasks that are just a one-time task, like one time a season or one time a year. So I'd be like, oh, let me just do it instead of teaching someone how to do it, as opposed to
Yeah.
just recording how to do something so that it's there
Yeah. And
and you
and I
can
think
pass it
too,
off.
I also want to add too, like I think what is a an elephant in the room, so to speak, with this topic is making sure that we're
Mhm.
also delegating it to the right people.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure.
this is where, to me, like onboarding becomes like crucial,
Hmm.
where it can't just be like a basic interview process of like, oh, why do you want this position? Oh, what is like, what are your value? Like, it really needs to be like a really intentional process, just so that way there's stickiness, there's sustainability. So you're not having a bunch of turnover. You know what I mean? Because I find that, at least with newer entrepreneurs, they kind of just will chat GPT the onboarding process, and it's like
Hmm.
there's no life to it, because again, this is your business, this is your company. So like, this is like your essence is in your DNA is in this. So like, it can't don't add people, don't add like bland ingredients to your masterpiece. Like, it just makes no sense. Like,
Agree.
if you're gonna bring someone on, properly vet them, really get to know them. Like, don't get to know them deeper than just like professionally. Get to know them about like
Hmm.
their life, their goals, what they want to accomplish. Make sure there's alignment, So that way, when you do delegate those tasks, you're going to communicate you're going to communicate clear, right? You're going to communicate a lot with clarity, but also they're going to want to do it because in some way, shape, or form, in some way, shape, or form, this position that you're delegating to them helps them too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like, we're just like, oh yeah, just do this thing. I know you have an interest with, with copywriting and everything like that, but I'm going to make you the social media manager. And it's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, why would you?
No.
No, they like copywriting, so put them over the admin stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think that's important just to kind of hit that, because obviously, yes, we want to as the owner, we need to delegate. But as we delegate, and we touched on this, but where it's like, okay, we're doing things a certain way, so when we do bring on the right people, there's a cohesion there where it's sustainable. So we're not having to find new people every 3 months or 2 months or whatever
Agreed.
it is, because then that just becomes stressful all in itself.
But even with that onboarding process, I also feel like it's important to make sure that you're communicating your goals as a business, because like you said, giving people a why with what they're doing has been important, at least in my business. Communicating, okay, this is what the goal is with the studio this month, or this is what the goal is here, so that when they're doing those tasks, they're not just like, okay, whatever, I don't know why I'm doing this or why this is important. Or even some of those like RGAs, why is this important? Why are these phone calls important for you to make? Because our goal is just to get this many students, we need this many students so we can operate properly. So it's all trickling down. But I know when I first started, I was just giving them tasks and they didn't really understand what they were doing. So there was no passion behind it. They didn't really care about it, versus aligning it with our goals and aligning it with our mission, which can all be explained in the onboarding process too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In leadership, it is crucial that you're always telling your people the why behind the what. Like, you can't just tell people what to do, tell them why it's important, no matter, because again, people, they're not, this is just a truth. Please tell me if you agree with this or not. Whoever you bring on is not going to care as much about your business as you do.
Never.
It's just,
they're
they
never
never
going
will,
to care as much.
right? And that's okay. Like, it's just kind of accept it, make your peace with it, like, put it to bed. Like, they're not going to care as much as you do. So it is super important that you are communicating why. Like, why is this important and how it benefits you? Because especially, talking about like the RGAs, right? If you hire someone in admin or something like that, it's like, hey, you'll get paid if this gets done. Like, here's how it benefits you. Like, in order for me to pay you, this needs to get done, right? Or even if you do this really, really well, you probably get a raise. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that, when you communicate it, those types of tasks to them, it takes on a whole new meaning. It goes from, well, Asia just told me to do this thing, so I'm just doing my job, to, you know what, I want to do well, so that way, one, I'm getting my check on time, but two, there's potential like for elevation. Yeah, I'm going to give it my best.
Exactly. Completely agreed.
Let's see. So delegating, super key. Another
I'm
thing
excited about this next one.
This one. So this is an execution key. Is theme days. Okay. Theme days. Now, this is kind of in line with what you're talking about with time blocking, but it's also kind of elevated to like an entirety of a day. Okay. It's elevated to an entirety.
I love it.
So for me, I try to make sure that like each day I focus on really one area of a thing. There's still time blocking within it. So it's not to say like for example, emails, I'm going to check every single day, right? So that's a time block type of item. But when it comes to theme days, it's okay, here's my content recording day. Here's my brainstorming day. Here's my admin day. Here's my rest day. I have a Sabbath every Monday. I'm not doing jack. I'm not doing nothing on the day, right? But that's an example of like a theme day. And you can have fun with this. Like, this is something that I have fun with, is, and you can name them. You can name the days. Like, you can go with, this is a
Money
momentum Monday. Yeah, Money Monday. Meeting,
that's what I do.
Meeting Monday. Money Monday. I like that. I really like that
Money Monday.
You could do a transformation Thursday. You could do a
filming Friday.
Filming Friday. Yeah, that's a good one. See, like,
that's what
you
we're
can
doing.
Just look. See, exactly what we're doing, right? We're in the theme day, but the purpose of it, if just having these theme days, and again, it may change based on the season that you're in, but it's more so just knowing like, hey, today, here's kind of the area of focus. Today, here's like everything that I'm going to do. Because again, especially like when you're the solopreneur and you want to grow, you want to scale, but in the beginning, it's you by yourself. It's like, hey, if today is my filming Friday, then I don't need to trip if I'm not doing admin tasks on a Friday.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to, to feel pressure or anything like that, just because this is planned. This is a planned thing in my day, or I should say in my week. So I know this is what I'm doing. Now, when it comes time for, I don't know, a meeting Monday or whatever, now, and this is very key, and this is something that I've learned, where it's like, for a meeting Monday, I schedule all my meetings on a Monday. So whenever I am reaching out and I'm doing my RGAs of cold, and people are, okay, when are you available to meet? Mondays. That's it. Like it's not any day. So, and of course, when you first start off with clients and stuff like that, it's like, oh, whenever you're free. Oh, whenever. Yeah. We can meet at 7 p.m. We can meet at 6 a.m. Like whenever. And it's like, no, you're going to burn out. Like you will burn out. So it's better to just say, hey, these are the days that I take meetings. And if you're in the type of position where you have multiple types of meetings, then you segment them too. Like I know for me, in the position I'm in, because I'm also a leader in my church, I have meetings about a bunch of stuff. So what I do is really Tuesdays and Thursdays are my meeting days. Like that's it. And my Thursday meetings, like those are the meetings where like something is happening. Like as a result of this meeting, like something's going to get done. Tuesday meetings are the, let's just connect and see, let's brainstorm, let's talk. Check-in. Right. Yeah. Like that's what those meetings are, where it's like, this is a good touch point. They're valuable. It needs to be a meeting. We're trying to see what the next step will be, that type of thing. Thursday, those meetings, something better be happening. Like that's the theme for me. Right. So again, it's circling around just like kind of that peace of mind. Just the pressure is off. I'm going into my day after I get my coffee, I get my tea, where it's like, hey, today's filming Friday. So everything I'm doing today needs to have a camera in front of it. It's okay. If it's admin Wednesday, well, that means I'm going to be in front of this computer and I'm going to have my hourglass, with my timers and everything like that. Like it's just what it is. So you're going into your day kind of knowing, as opposed to, you're like the Mr. Krabs meme where you just like don't know what's going on. Just the world is spinning around you.
Exactly. I also feel like it allows you to do deep work, which to me makes a big difference. At first, I was the queen of multitasking. Multitasking is a myth, okay? Being able to focus on one thing allows me to be so much more on task. It allows me to actually get things done. So if I am doing filming Fridays or Money Mondays, I know that I'm diving into those things. And I'm also able to pre-plan. So it's like, if I know something is coming up, if it's Thursday and I'm like, oh, this money thing I need to handle, I'm like, I'm gonna handle it on Monday, assuming it's not urgent. I'm gonna handle that on Monday. Or I have my meetings with my manager on Monday. I can go in and create a task that says, okay, meeting Monday. And I go in and I make notes, and I know that I'm going to handle that on Monday, so that when you're doing filming Friday, you don't have to go say, oh, let me handle this right now. No, I know that I'm handling that on Monday, because you have those theme days. So I know that's really beneficial with me. Like I said, it's so easy to get off task when you're doing things, especially as an entrepreneur, and you don't have someone looking over your shoulder saying, did you do this? Did you do this? Okay, now you need to do this. So going ahead and having those things already planned out really helps a lot. So.
Yeah, because you have to hold yourself accountable. Like I know obviously accountability, the topic is usually in the context of somebody else holding you accountable. But to a degree, to some sort of degree, you have to be able to hold yourself accountable to how I describe just honoring your own word. Where it's like, if I said this is going to get done at the end of the week, well, I've got to do it. Like it's, because the reality is we've all jumped out of the boat. We've all taken the leap of faith and started our own businesses. So the only person who's going to really hold you to that truly is you. Like truly, like it's not going to be your mom. It's not going to be your grandma. It's not going to be your dad. Like they're going to say, first of all, for most of us, when you start your business, they're going to say, you don't want to just go get a job. Like, you sure you don't want, like that's, and again, it's not out of, like they want us to win. They want us to do well. But the reality is like we're out in the deep end. So we have to just take accountability. We have to take some level of responsibility when it comes to what we're doing on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-by-minute timeline,
Mhm.
so that way we are productive. And so that's kind of, just the heart behind a theme day, where it's like, hey, I know what I'm getting into each and every day, so I can just be effective in my business. So that way I can, whatever your motivation is, prove the doubters wrong. I can make the biggest
Yeah,
impact. I can, whatever your motivation is, everyone's different. I believe that you just need to use whatever's going to get you doing something. Um, but
exactly. Especially
you
as
know,
an entrepreneur, you have so many hats that you're wearing too. So having
yes,
those theme days definitely helps. And people will say, "Oh, what do you mean? You're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the manager, you're everything." So having those theme days will kind of keep you in
yes,
line and accountable, like you were saying.
absolutely,
For
absolutely.
sure.
Let's see what you got next.
All right, well, I'm gonna change my next one a little bit because we did already talk about that batch
Hmm.
recording. But something that definitely helps me with execution is having a good project management system. And I know you were talking about even as a solo entrepreneur, just making sure that you're doing things to make it easier when you do have a team. That's been me with Asana. So even with Asana, I used it when it was just me, and I would have those tasks in Asana, and I would have them reoccurring, and I would have them assigned to myself. And now that I have a team, it's been so much easier to just bring them in and say, this is how this operates. This task is reoccurring, and it allows you to streamline that communication and everyone to see what projects we're working on, and they know what they're supposed to do. They know that they can't do this until this is done. You can see
Yes.
and everyone's on the same page, and it allows you to just stay organized. It's been a lifesaver for me for sure. So have you ever
See
used
if you
anything like that?
See, if you're gonna shout out Asana, I gotta shout out ClickUp. Shout out to my family over at ClickUp.
Okay.
That's my project management app. I love it. But
Yeah.
to overview, I totally agree with you. I could not agree. And
Mhm.
I like how you said, where you basically were operating the app, you were operating the program as if you were a team and you were
Mhm.
assigning. Because I think, again, it's a different way of thinking, where it's like
Yeah.
I'm preparing for next. So like while it is just me now, I'm preparing for, okay, I only see my name in the assigned to section. But one day there's
Mhm.
going to be other people. So let me just start disciplining myself to assign this task, make it reoccurring, and just honor it as it,
Exactly.
and just take it serious, right? Because we care. But I think just practically, yes, each and every entrepreneur, especially starting out, you need to have a ClickUp, an Asana. There's a bunch of others. I
A
won't name them because they're not.
Trello, something.
Yes,
Oh,
Trello's, Notion, yeah, but they're not. We're not involved with them, so they're not.
yeah.
They're not helping. They're not helping. They're not a part of our RGA. So
Yeah.
but no, I definitely agree. Like ClickUp for me is awesome. I personally just like I like the outline of it. I like the
Like the
overall
interface.
platform. Personally, I
Yeah.
love the interface. It just looks clean to me. But again,
Yeah.
everyone picks the key is that you have one. So let me be clear. Like I don't want to
Exactly.
sound biased, even though I kind of am a little bit. You are too. Um,
Just
but
having
you
something.
yes, have something so where it's like, okay, I'm able to just look at my phone and I'm able to say, hey, here's what I have. Here's what's coming up.
Mhm.
And really having it accessible, because the reality is, like you said, you're wearing so many hats. So it's very easy to kind of keep it all in your mind and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that this holiday is coming up, or the business's anniversary is coming up. I got to make a post, and you just leave it there, and then the
Mhm.
anniversary gets here, and now like you're scrambling to get it done, as opposed to, let me just write it down in the app, let me just assign it, put a due date on it, put a start time on it, the whole nine, and honor the process.
Yeah.
So then when I sit down during my admin Wednesday, whatever theme day I got, whatever my time block is, it's done. Right. And again, it just makes everything more effective. But yeah, no, man, that's a good audible you
Yeah.
called right there with that one. That's a good
For
one.
sure. But even with that, like having the task assigned, I love it because you can go in and create subtasks, which will say, okay, yeah, you have to make this post on this day or this, anniversary or whatever. But you also have to create the post. You also have to schedule the post. You have to create the
Yes.
caption. So those can all be
Yes.
subtasks that you can do to lead you. Because when I first started using it, I would just say the end date task. And then it
Yeah.
would get here and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not ready to do that."
I'm not
As
ready.
opposed to creating the task, okay, what else needs to be done before the task
Yes.
is here?
Yeah.
So I know
And
that's really
and
important for me.
I think too that also helps with our ability to master. Like it really helps
Mhm.
with mastery. So like it's like you truly understand all the smaller components that lead to the overall project getting done. Like
Exactly.
so you real example for me, you know, I have a podcast that drops every first and third Monday. So
Mhm.
I have that overall task, but like you said, there's brainstorming the topic, there's you know actually recording it, there's editing, there's distribution, there's creating the clips, right?
Yes,
So it's like
exactly.
I have all of that logged in, and it
Mhm.
helps me properly track. So that way, if you know the Monday comes or the Sunday comes, whatever it is, because I like to kind of make sure my stuff's uploaded early. But it's like I'm not
Mhm.
like a oh snap, I didn't do that. Oh jump, I didn't actually finish editing that. Oh jump, I never exported
Yeah,
it. Like it's all right there. And so that way again,
exactly.
for as and we're this is so helpful because we're preparing for scale when we are adding team members and everything like that, where we have
Mhm.
mastered this process so specifically where it's like you no one can convince me that it doesn't work because
Exactly.
I've done it piece by piece, inch by inch.
Mhm.
So and I know it works. So yeah, I think you know that process of using the tasks, subtasks, assigning, time, the whole nine. Because a lot of times, and this is probably just this might be a little bit of a tangent here, a little pit stop here.
Mhm.
There are a lot of us who are allowing tasks that should only take 30 minutes end up being like 3-day tasks. Like
Yeah.
that's a part of it too. Right. But these apps and you know, and these management systems really help you kind of realize like, oh snap, like it should not take me 3 days to brainstorm like a a topic. This should not take me 2 days to write an email. It shouldn't take me, you know, 5 days to finally send 20 emails. Like
Yep.
it shouldn't, right? You know what I mean? Like things like that. You start to kind of see your own, I guess, areas of improvement, I'll say.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And then you can use the time blocking with those things too. So it's like you
Yes.
have these tasks on your board. When are you going to actually do them? Actually putting it in your
Yes.
time blocking calendar will help you too, as opposed to just looking at it and then you look back and you're like, oh, I didn't do any of this. So
Right.
they all
Or I
work
only did like
together.
yeah, or I only did like 5%. I only did like 5% of it.
Hmm.
And it's like, that's not gonna help you. Like you're
Exactly. It's not going to fly.
yeah, it's not gonna fly. No, but that's a really good one. Wow. Dang. Let's see. Well, the last one I got, the last tip that I have from an execution standpoint is knowing how you work. All right, knowing how you work. And this is where some people call it energy management. This could just
Hmm.
to me this is just basic productivity where you just need to understand like how you work best. What
Hmm.
this looks like practically is like, are you a morning person or are you a night owl? Like what is your quote unquote energy level throughout the day? Like if you're a person that you know you work best, you think the most clear, you know, in the mornings, then make sure you time block accordingly. If you are more of a evening, nighttime, lunchtime, whatever time, you everyone here should be self-aware. That's why the personal development piece we talked about is so important.
Hmm.
Like you kind of should know how you work. Like, okay, I know at this time I'm the most effective. So this is when I'm going to have the hardest task. This is when I'm going to have the, you know, most time consuming work done. But also, it's knowing how you work. What I find is also creating a proper work environment. So for and again, this is just practical. Like let's just say if you're an entrepreneur and you have a messy desk, that's not going to
Hmm.
inspire you to work at all because you're just going to
Agreed.
literally be seeing mess all over the place. Like if you like
Hmm.
you need to have, you know, just a clean desk. You need to have maybe a motivational poster or something, like just something. Like, you know, something
Yeah.
that says there's signs of life there, right? But it's just
Yeah.
really understanding like, okay, this is how I work. This is what I need my environment to look like so I can maximize my productivity and my execution.
I agree. I know when I first started more the studio and I had down days where I needed to get a lot done, I would kind of be like, well, why am I waiting so long to do this? Okay, because typically when you work, you don't start working until 2 or 3. So when you have your down days, I was noticing that's when I would start working too. And then I just started accepting it. Like those are your hours, your magic hours where you work best. I know for me,
Yeah.
also, I know as far as how you work that I don't like to be rushed. So I don't procrastinate because of that. So I make sure I'm really intentional with my project management, my time blocking to do things ahead of time so that I can relax and do them and put all of my thought into them and not just rush
So
and put
good.
out bad work with whatever I'm doing, whether that's planning a show or planning a class. I want to make sure that I have the proper time invested to do that. So I know me working ahead is really beneficial. So,
That's really good. Yeah, I like
mm,
that. Like working ahead, thinking ahead, like that's just kind of what it is. And I love that you said you just kind of accepted like this is when I work best, 2 to 3.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
and the truth is
that's when I'm gonna
there's
get
nothing
started.
wrong with that. Right? Like you know what I find too, like with entrepreneurs, like we love to talk about how, entrepreneurs we get time freedom, right? Like that's kind of but
Mhm.
it's always like time freedom to do nothing. It was like
Yeah.
you have the ability, like a time and freedom to say, "Hey, I really start work at 2." Like
Mhm.
that's when I work best. Like that to me is the freedom piece of it, where it's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I get to set my own hours." And again, that's a benefit, but that also comes with some level of responsibility. And it is, like you said in your experience, of accepting, all right, this is just how this the way this cookie seems to keep crumbling. Like this is just when I'm working and I'm accept it.
Yeah.
Now, how do I leverage it? Simple as that.
I was telling someone that the other day because with the time freedom, also just the freedom of working, knowing I like how I'm working at home. So if I'm at home, I'll be working, I'll have my little hourglass and it will hit. I'm like, okay, let me go eat, let me go do this. So having that freedom and to be able to move around, I know that I work better doing that as opposed to like if I'm sitting somewhere at a desk and I can't move and I can't do anything else. I like to do this and then come back to it and things like that so that I can really
That's
make
good.
sure I'm kind of having what our next tip is, which is a little bit more of self care, but having that self care mixed in with my workday really helps me as well. And it
Yeah.
allows me to work for a longer period of time.
That's good. That's good. Let's go into that. Let's go into the self because they really do, come
Go hand
together.
in hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So prioritizing self care and just downtime, making sure that you're reserving that time for yourself, whether it's through time blocking or creating a calendar or having even a day for that, is something that really helps me too, because you know how easy it is as an entrepreneur to just make all of your days work days. All of your
Yes.
downtime can be working. You can always be working on something, but making sure that you set aside that time to say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not working. And it's funny because with me, especially when we've been transitioning studios for about a year ago, and there's always something to be doing as far as like renovations or making sure the studio is in tip top shape, that I'll take my breaks. Like we have fall break, for instance, and I will work constantly during those breaks. This break that we had about a week ago was the first time that I did not work. I worked one day, but compared to the 7 days, it's
Right,
crazy.
right. Better than most.
Yeah, and I did not. I actually took that time, and when I went back to the studio, I felt so revitalized, and so doing
That's
something
good.
like that on a normal basis is so important as an entrepreneur because it is so easy to burn out. And
Oh
that
my
might not
goodness.
always
Yes.
get to be a huge vacation with your friends or family. It might not be something like a week off, but it can be something like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I take a bath once a week and just have a quiet night or something like
Yeah.
that. Just because you're not monitoring that. You're most of the time
Right.
grind mode and working, 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 but it's not gonna benefit anyone if you're not in your best shape, so
1,000%. And I was in that same type of trap, I'd call it too, where I'm like, man, there's so much to do. I gotta work 7 days a week. I gotta be on my grind.
mm-mm.
And it's like, no, like it's just not sustainable. It's just not. Like I remember I mentioned it earlier where for me, Mondays are my day of nothing. That's my day of
Yeah,
rest. Like I'm going to sleep in if I choose. Like what usually actually what I've been doing probably for the past month is I'll wake up at my normal time of 6. I'll go to the gym,
mhm,
I'll work out, but then I'll come right back home and go back to sleep. Like just
yeah,
or I'll just be in bed. Like just because again, it does allow me to just decompress. It does allow me to just be free. Like you know what I mean? Where again, there's
mhm.
always going to be something to solve. There's always going to be a problem to fix, a
Always
offer
be
to
better.
tweak, email to send.
Mhm,
There's always going to be something. Um, and that's why I appreciate what you said, where it's like, in order for me to properly show up out in the world, in order for me to properly serve, my clients, my audience, and everything like that, I have to be the best me. And the only way I'm able
exactly.
to do that is by really taking that Monday off consistently and just saying, hey, nothing is getting done today. Like
Mhm,
nothing, hard pressed work. Like it is a Trevon day. 1,000%.
Mhm.
And
And it will
I'm gonna
still be
do
there tomorrow. The work will still be there.
right. It'll still be right there, and I will be much more
Mhm.
energized and ready and motivated to get it done then. But for right now, yeah, I'm
Exactly.
gonna just Netflix and I'm gonna just watch my Netflix and chill out. That's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. And that's something it takes a while to get there, I will say mentally, because you
It
do have
does.
this,
It does.
at least for me, I had the same idea, like I need to constantly be working. And I was like, okay, I'm not a brain surgeon. No one needs me that urgently right now. So I can
Yeah.
take that time and just make sure that I'm my best self so that I can present my best self with my business. So
Yeah. I think that's a really good way of looking at it too. I think like just like how
yeah.
you just said, like you're not a brain surgeon, like no one needs you that
Hmm.
bad. Like I think that's I think a practical way for people who do struggle with that, where they
Yeah.
feel like they have to be on all the time. Where it kind of is just understanding, like, listen, I'm not that important. Like
Yeah.
I'm not the president of the United States. Like I'm not a surgeon. Like life and death is not in my hands. Like I can
Hmm.
take a day. Like it's okay. Like I think just
Exactly.
practically, because it is so easy to fall into that trap. Because again, as
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, we're walking in purpose and we have people to serve and be there for and everything like that. And it's all true. But we also got to make sure we have the proper perspective on all of it. So that way, again, we got to be our
Agreed.
best. Simple as that. We got to be our best.
Completely agreed. So, those are our 10 tips for execution. I know a lot of this is great reminders. It's great to keep at the top of in the top of your mind. But if you guys have a tip that you love for execution, go ahead and put it in the comments. Let us know if there's any that we missed, or let us know what your favorite one was. I don't know. I think the theme days that you said might be my favorite for sure.
That's your
I
favorite?
completely forgot
I
about that. Yeah.
see. I think for me, I love how you brought up the management system, like the project management system.
Mhm.
That one, I think like kind of snuck up on me because I like obviously it was mine, but I like the theme days too. But
Mhm.
man, when you brought up the management system, I'm like, oh, that's a really really good one.
Yeah. It's something that we probably use all the time, but we don't think about it. But I
Yes,
mean, I couldn't survive without mine for sure.
same. Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this video or this podcast, go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can be notified whenever I post. In the meantime, can you tell the people where to find you?
Well, you can find me at Trev Gross Jr. on Instagram. If you want to check out more about what I do at Craft Your Dream, you can go on Instagram to Craft Your Dream Inc., or you can go to our website at craftyourdream.org, where you can see and hear about our Dreamer Symposium, which is a growth conference. You can check out the
Mhm.
podcast, which is the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Like I said, that drops every first and third Monday. It's a podcast that will help you take one bold step towards your dream. And I encourage you to do that. So that's pretty much it. If you want to get
Nice.
connected, craftyourdream.org has all the answers, all the connections that you need.
Nice. Okay, well, great. And I'll definitely put that information in the show notes too. And I'll,
Thank you.
as always, if you guys want to keep up with me, you can go to asiaonline.com and you can find out